Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 32, Entanglement in Fruitive Activities, text 41 and 42. 41 doesn't have any purport, so we'll just read it through and we'll collectively recite the text 42. Shraddhadhanaya bhaktaya vinitaya nasuyabe bhuteshu kritamaitraya shushushabhirataya cha. Shushushabhirataya cha. Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. Text 42. Bohirjata Viragaya Shanta Chittaya Diyatam Nirmatsaraya Shuchaye Jashaham Priyasham Priyaha Bahirjata Viragaya Shanta Chittaya Diyatam Nirmatsaraya Shuchaye Jasyaham Priyasam Priyaha Bahirjata Viragaya Shanta Chittaya Diyatam Nirmatsaraya Shuchaye Jasyaham Priyasam Priya Bahirjata Viragaya Shanta Chittaya Diyatam Nirmatsaraya Shuchaye Jasyaham Priyasam Priyaha
Nirmatsaraya Shuchaye Jasyaham Priyasam Priyaha Bahirjata Viragaya Shanta Chittaya Diyatam Nirmatsaraya Shuchaye Jasyaham Priyasam Priyaha Bahirjata Viragaya Chittaya Diyatam Nirmatsaraya Shuchaye Jasyaham Priyasam Priyaha Bahirjata Viragaya
Mataji's? Bahi, for what is outside. Jata Viragaya, to him who has developed detachment. Shanta Chittaya, whose mind is peaceful. Diyatam, let this be instructed. Nirmatsaraya, non-envious. Shuchaye, perfectly cleansed. Yasya, of whom. Aham, I. Priyasam, of all that is very dear. Priyaha, the most dear. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. Please repeat after me. This instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything, who are not envious of anyone, who are perfectly cleansed, and who have developed detachment for that which is outside the purview of Krishna consciousness. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Actually, then it goes to the last verse, which doesn't also have purport, so I will read that one also. In the beginning, no one can be elevated to the highest stage of devotional service. Here, bhakta means one who does not hesitate to accept the reformatory processes for becoming a bhakta. In order to become a devotee of the Lord, one has to accept a spiritual master and inquire from him about how to progress in devotional service. To serve a devotee, to chant the holy name according to a certain counting methods, to worship the deity, to hear Srimad Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita from a realized person, and to live in a sacred place where devotional service is not disturbed are the first out of 64 devotional activities for making progress in devotional service. One who has accepted these 5 chief activities is called a devotee. One must be prepared to offer the necessary respect and honor to the spiritual master. He should not be unnecessarily envious of his god brothers. Rather, if the god brother is more enlightened and advanced in Krishna consciousness, one should accept him as almost equal to the spiritual master. And one should be happy to see such god brother advance in Krishna consciousness. A devotee should always be very kind to the general public in instructing Krishna consciousness, because that is the only solution for getting out of the clutches of Maya. That is really humanitarian work, for it is the way to show mercy to other people who need it very badly. The word Shushrushabhirataye indicates a person who faithfully engages in serving the spiritual master. One should give personal service and all kinds of comforts to the spiritual master. A devotee who does so is also a bona fide candidate for taking this instruction. The word Bohirjato Viragaya means a person who has developed detachment from external and internal material personal propensities. Not only is he detached from activities which are not connected to Krishna consciousness, but he should be internally averse to the material way of life. Such a person must be non-envious and should think of the welfare of all living entities, not only of the human beings, but living entities other than human beings. The word Shuchaye means one who is cleansed both externally and internally. To become actually cleansed externally and internally, one should chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna or Vishnu, constantly. The word Diyatam means the knowledge of Krishna consciousness should be offered by the spiritual master. The spiritual master must not accept a disciple who is not qualified. He should not be professional and should not accept disciples for monetary gains. The bona fide spiritual master must see the bona fide qualities of a person who is going to be initiated. An unworthy person should not be initiated. The spiritual master should train his disciple in such a way so that in the future only the Supreme Personality of Godhead will be the dearmost goal of his life. In these two verses, the qualities of a devotee are fully explained. One who has actually developed all the qualities listed in these verses is already elevated to the post of a devotee. If one has not developed all these qualities, he still has to fulfill these conditions in order to become a perfect devotee. Then the last verse, which doesn't have any purport, text 43. Ja idang shinuyad ambha, ja idang shinuyad ambya, shraddhaya purusha shakrit, jo babhi dhatte machitta, sa hyeti padavinchame. Anyone who once meditates upon me with faith and affection, who hears and chants about me, surely goes back home, back to Godhead. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, 32nd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Entanglement in Fruitive Activities. So, very important verses. Actually, the whole process has been summarized. The whole process of Krishna consciousness has been summarized here. Kapil Muni came to the point of instructing his mother what is the ultimate conclusion of spiritual pursuit. All the spiritual activities, spiritual endeavors, ultimately culminates into understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead and surrendering to Him. He mentioned that all philosophical, not only all philosophical endeavors, all kinds of endeavors ultimately culminate into this Krishna consciousness. That is what the Vedas are pointing out. There are different processes. There is Karma Kanda section, Jnana Kanda section. But the Karma Kanda section gives rise to Jnana Kanda. Then Jnana Kanda eventually leads to pure devotional service, bhakti. And what is the meaning of the word bhakti? Bhakti involves three aspects: sambandha, abhidheya, and prayojan. In order to become a devotee, first of all, we have to who is Krishna, who am I, and what is my relationship with Krishna. Like in Bhagavatam, very systematic. Bhagavad Gita, we understand who is Krishna, who are we, what is our relationship with Krishna. Then we also get to know what is this material nature and the influence of time. What is our relationship with this material nature? And the ultimate culmination of that understanding is this is a place of suffering. And we are here to suffer. So, does anybody want to be in a place where he is going to suffer? No. Similarly, we should not want to be here. We do not want to be here. We do not want to be here. That is the first step. So, then the consideration is how to do it. The Vedas are describing there are two ways of. One is a negative way and the other is a positive way. Just as I mentioned many times before, like if the material nature is like a prison and we are prisoners, then the prisoners can get out of the prison in either by digging a tunnel out of the prison, but is it going out of the prison that way, will it help him? No. Because although he will be physically out of the prison, but his condition will be even more distressful. Because he will have to hide all the time. And if he is caught, then he will be arrested again and his sentence will become more severe. So that is the negative way out of escaping the prison, escaping from the prison. The positive way is to find out what is the cause of my imprisonment. The prisoner should find out what is the cause and what is the cause of our imprisonment. Our cause of imprisonment is our defiance, envy towards Krishna. That is our cause of imprisonment. We have disobeyed Krishna. Therefore we are in the prison. And who is Krishna? Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The King of Kings. He is the King of Kings. The king has his kingdom, and in the kingdom, those who do not want to abide by the king, he is put into the prison. So similarly, those who did not want to abide by Krishna have been sentenced to suffer in this prison. So if that is the cause, then what is the natural way of getting out of this prison house? What will be the natural way? How many of you know? How many of you are not understanding what I am saying? Huh? How many of you? তোমরা কে কে বুঝতে পারছো না আমি কি বলছি? তাহলে এখানে বসে আছে কেন? ওখানে তো বাংলা অনুবাদ হচ্ছে। তোমরা কি বাংলা বোঝো? তাহলে এখানে বাংলা অনুবাদ হচ্ছে, বাংলা অনুবাদে শুনতে যাবে। কে কে বাংলা বোঝো না? তোমরা যাও, যারা ইংরেজি বোঝে না তারা বাংলায় অনুবাদ শুনে। Still now I'll ask, how many of you are not understanding me? I asked a very simple question. If the cause of our imprisonment is our disobedience to Krishna, then what will be the natural way to get out of the prison? How many of you did not understand the question I asked? Everyone understood. Now let me see, raise the hands. So the natural way to get out of is to become obedient to Krishna. Our disobedience to Krishna has caused our imprisonment. By not getting food, I am hungry. So to solve the problem of my hunger, what should I do? Eat. Just do what the cause of it is. So if our cause of our imprisonment is our defiance to Krishna, then what would be the natural way to get to solve this problem? Surrender to Krishna, to listen to Krishna. And Krishna has given the instructions in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna has given his instructions appearing as different incarnations. Like here, Kapil Dev is giving the instruction. And what is the instruction? In this chapter, Kapil Dev is explaining to his mother that the ultimate goal of all spiritual activity, that means if we want to get out of this material nature and if we make different kinds of endeavors, what will be the ultimate conclusion? What will be the ultimate point? The ultimate point will be to understand that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Does anybody have any doubt about that? That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? And if Krishna, the first consideration is Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then who are you? Who are we? We are Krishna's parts and parcels. Minute parts of Krishna. And as a part, what should one do to fulfill his existence? This finger is the part of the body. So what should this finger do? To become connected to the body. If the finger is separated from the body, does the finger has its utility served? No. This finger is a part of the body, therefore the finger's existence or the utility of the finger's existence, the purpose of the finger's existence lies in its connection to the body. The lens is the part of the camera. If the lens is separated from the camera, does the lens have any purpose? No. Similarly, we are parts and parcels of Krishna, so the utility of our existence lies in our being connected to Krishna. Now, how to become connected to Krishna? How can one become connected to Krishna? The way to become connected to Krishna is called bhakti. So, bhakti begins with surrender. We have defied Krishna, meaning, what is the opposite to surrender? Defiance, revolt. Surrender Opposite to surrender is revolt. We have revolted against Krishna. We have defied Krishna. We don't want to accept you. Krishna said, fine. Welcome to the material nature. Welcome to the prison house. So that is our cause of our bondage in this material nature. So, if we want to become connected to Krishna, then we must be surrendered to Krishna. And when we become surrendered to Krishna, then we begin to become connected to Krishna. Then gradually, Krishna, our relationship with Krishna becomes established. So these are the three most important considerations of all the knowledge. The knowledge goes like that. Material knowledge, in the ultimate point, will lead to spiritual. If we are pursuing knowledge, then it will ultimately lead to spiritual submission, spiritual practice. সেই সে বিদ্যার ফল জানিহ নিশ্চয় কৃষ্ণ পাদ পদ্মে যেন চিত্তবৃত্তি রয়. The purpose of all education, the purpose of all knowledge is to become attached to Krishna's lotus feet. সেই সে বিদ্যার ফল জানিহ নিশ্চয়. So that is the purpose of Vidya, real knowledge. And then when we surrender to Krishna, then what happens, Prabhupada is pointing out here, when one wants to surrender to Krishna, then one must accept a bona fide spiritual master. And the qualification of a bona fide spiritual master, what is a bona fide spiritual, who is a bona fide spiritual master? Jai Krishna Tattvavetta Shai Guru Hai. He must know Krishna. He must be a devotee of Krishna. He must be able to let us understand who is Krishna. That is the qualification of a spiritual master. He must be able to guide us towards the lotus feet of Krishna, and that is that spiritual knowledge. But at the end of this chapter, Kapil Dev is describing the qualification of a disciple. Who is qualified to receive this knowledge? And in last 4 or 5 verses, he has described that. Actually, okay, I'll read these last 4 verses, starting from 39. Actually, the verse before that I'll also read, 38. Kapil Muni is saying, there are varieties of material existence for the living entity according to the work he performs in ignorance or forgetfulness of his real identity. My dear mother, if anyone enters into the forgetfulness, he is unable to understand where his movement will end. So he is pointing out the condition of the living entities in the material nature. A living entity conditioned in this material nature by himself cannot figure out how to get out of the material nature. Therefore, he needs somebody to remind him, to tell him how to get out of this material nature. And that is the spiritual master. That's why one needs a spiritual master. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, without the guidance of the spiritual master, one cannot possibly get out of this material nature. Until we come across a bona fide spiritual master, we are in total ignorance. All of us were like that. At least I can say I was in total ignorance and suffering. Materialistic life is suffering. We try to enjoy, but what do we get? Suffering, misery. Suffering after suffering after suffering. Then we come across our spiritual master. And then the spiritual, like I came across Srila Prabhupada and his teachings. And sufferings are gone. Just by getting the knowledge, getting the understanding that we are servants of Krishna. So instead of trying to serve our body, we must try to serve Krishna. Instead of trying to enjoy or exploit and lord over this material nature, we must surrender to Krishna. That's the simple understanding. The spiritual master simply gives us this understanding. Who is Krishna? So that we have to understand. That's why we have to have faith in the instruction of the spiritual master. Whatever spiritual master says, we must accept it without any doubt. If there is any doubt, we can question. And the spiritual master will remove those doubts by giving the proper answers. That is the qualification of a bona fide spiritual master. He has the answer to all questions pertaining to spiritual life. Because he knows how to make advancement in spiritual life. And that is the case with everyone. Every conditioned soul. Those who are Nitya Siddhas, those who are eternally liberated, their case is different. They are always liberated. They are never conditioned. They are never imprisoned. They are not prisoners. But whoever is a prisoner in this prison house of material nature is being subjected to punishment by Maya. Tritab dukkha, threefold miseries. The Maya with the trident is punishing them. Maya tied them up with the modes of material nature, gunas. Daivi hesha gunamayi. Guna means rope. With these ropes, Maya has tied these living entities in the material nature. So we are helpless. And then by this arrangement of this karma, we are being punished. What is the karma? What is the materialistic karma? What is the materialistic karma or mundane activity? I want to enjoy. Materialistic activities means I want to enjoy. And the more we want to enjoy, what is happening? The punishment is coming. More you suffer. So in the material nature, everyone is trying to enjoy, but ultimately what he is getting? He's getting suffering. Now then again, there are two types of people. Or we can say three types of people. One type, they are so much in ignorance that they don't even understand that they are suffering. Like a drunkard. A drunkard, he is rolling in the gutter. He is so drunk that he fell off onto and rolling in the gutter. He is lying in the gutter. And in his mind he is thinking, I am the king of the whole material world. So that is a drunken person's condition, a drunkard's condition. So they are they are in total ignorance. They don't even understand that they are suffering. But there is another kind of people, those who say, oh, you are punishing me. Okay, देख लेंगे तुमको, चलो कल तुमको देख लेंगे, आज हमको नहीं मिला एंजॉयमेंट, कल जरूर मिल जाएगा। माया देवी तुम हमको एंजॉय करने को नहीं देंगे, बल्कि मैं जरूर एंजॉय करूंगा। So that is the mode of passion. So defiance, I will enjoy. Suffering is coming, you'll say, okay, I'll keep trying to enjoy. There are people, those who are in the mode of goodness. What's the sign of goodness? They understand. In goodness, one gets the proper understanding. I am suffering. The material nature is meant for suffering. So here is a person who is giving us the knowledge. So let me surrender unto him. That is the sign of mode of goodness. And unfortunately, most of the people in this material nature are in mode of passion and ignorance. Therefore, they are suffering and suffering endlessly. But those who become situated in a mode of goodness, they get out of this suffering condition. This is why I am suffering, so let me not do that. And then especially when he comes across a bona fide spiritual master, he surrenders. And then by practicing the process, he makes advancement. Now the qualification for being in the mode of goodness has been actually described here. One of the most important characteristics of a person in the mode of goodness is he is non-envious. He is non-envious. His heart is clean. So all these qualities have been described here. Lord Kapila continued, this instruction is not meant for the envious. That means we have to be free from envy to receive this knowledge. Because envy comes from passion. Why he is getting this facility? Why not me? So try to push him out. Why he has all these facilities for enjoyment? Why not me? So grab everything. Why he is enjoying and not me? Make all kinds of politics to situate myself in such a situation where I can enjoy. That is envy. So, for the agnostic, those who are not humble, those who are not submissive, those who are not willing to listen to the higher authority, disobedient, arrogant, proud, who are unclean in their behavior, those who are hypocrites, and those who are proud of their material possession. We notice sometimes all these rich people. I came across one person who was very rich, and one of the first things he said, I don't believe in God. And I was thinking that the person, because he has a lot of money, because he has a control and power and facilities, and my answer was, okay, I'll come and ask you at the time of death. At the time of death, we will see how much your money can buy. You won't be able to buy even a breathful of oxygen. So people become proud of their material possessions. Actually, everyone is proud of his material possession. I am the biggest person. who is there like me? Krishna described the demoniac qualities. The divine qualities he described through the entire Bhagavad Gita. And then in one chapter, Krishna is that the 14th? 16th chapter. Divine and demoniac nature. Krishna is describing the demoniac nature. Who is a demon? Ahankarang balang darpang kama krodha kama lobha samannita. So very proud, ahankarang, of their strength. They are very arrogant. They are very lusty to enjoy this material nature. They are greedy. And their thing is, they are trying to control. Oh, I have killed so many of my enemies, and the rest of the enemies, I'll kill them. And this is how I'm going to enjoy. But at the time of death, what will happen? They'll be in a terrible situation. They'll be in such a miserable condition, and because they won't want to get out of this body, although they'll be forced, they're so attached to this body, they won't want to leave this body. That's why the Jamadutas will come and drag them out of their body. And they'll beat them. Their subtle body. One may say, oh, it will be in a subtle body, so that's not so bad. But when you are only having a subtle body, you don't have a gross body, then your subtle body will be everything. Your whole consciousness will be based on your subtle body. It is not to be instructed to persons who are too greedy and too attached to family life, not to persons who are non-devotees and who are envious of the devotees and the personality of Godhead. Instruction should be given to the faithful devotee who is respectful to the spiritual master, non-envious, friendly to all kinds of living entities, and eager to render service with faith and sincerity. So who should it be given? To the person who is faithful. Faithful means those who are obedient, those who accept the instruction seriously. The instruction should be imparted by the spiritual master to persons who have taken the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be more dear than anything. So that is the culmination of devotional service. We develop our love for Krishna to such an extent that he becomes the dearmost object of our life. No one else is more dear than him. So the practicing the process will bring us to that platform. If we practice the process of Krishna consciousness properly, we'll come to a situation when Krishna will be the most dear object of our life. And those who are not envious of anyone, especially not envious of other devotees. When you are in devotional platform, when you are surrounded by devotees, when you are associating with devotees, then be respectful towards devotees. Don't be not envious of the devotees. That is a very common disease in the community of devotees. Everywhere it is so. Why he is in big position? Why not me? So pull him down, throw him out. So that mentality is very, very damaging. It's damaging individually and damaging collectively. Those who harbor that mentality, he hurts himself in his spiritual progress. And he creates an atmosphere which is very unpleasant, because that leads to conflict. Devotee community should be peaceful. Devotee should be content. Devotee should be happy. I have got everything. What am I lacking? We have everything. Krishna has provided everything. He provided us nice shelter. Krishna is providing us with nice prasad. Krishna is giving us so many opportunities to serve. So why I am not content? Why I am not happy? That is how we have to question ourselves. Why I am not happy? If I am not happy in this situation, then something is terribly wrong with me. That's why in management I have to follow one thing. I judge things in in a simple consideration. Whether someone is a problem or someone is a solution. We want solutions, we don't want problems. So those who are problems, they have to solve their problems. Or we have to help them to solve the problem. Otherwise, in a garden, do we want weeds? Huh? In a garden, do we want flowers or do we want weeds? So if there is a weed, then what does a gardener have to do? Although it sounds bad, he'll have to weed him out. So that is the big responsibility in controlling or in managing a spiritual institution. But the trouble starts when the weed becomes too much. Then it becomes difficult to. But a good gardener and expert gardener have to know what is a weed and what is a plant. Sometimes the weeds will overpower the plants, the flowering plants. Now individually, how do we do that? How do we protect from allowing the weeds to grow in our hearts? How many of you know? What is the way to not let the weeds grow? Constant hearing and chanting. Constant hearing and chanting will help us. So let us become absorbed in hearing and chanting. Not gossiping and criticizing. The opposite to hearing and chanting is gossip. Therefore it has been pointed out that Grammo katha na kohive na shunibe kane. The gossip should not be allowed. Time and time again I am actually bringing up this point. From the very beginning I actually have been telling you all that create a nice atmosphere. Don't introduce politics. Because what will politics do? Politics means two groups. If we have two groups, then what will happen? Like I used to give an example of crystal. How does the crystal grow? How many of you know? A small crystal like mishri, rock candy, sugar candy is a crystal. Do you know how they make sugar candy? They take one small piece of sugar candy, tie it in a rope, tie it in a thread, and dip it in a sugar solution. Then what happens? It grows bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, if we have two sugar candies suspended, then what will happen? If one sugar candy breaks, the initials, the crystal, the nucleus sugar candy, if it breaks, then you won't get one sugar candy. You'll get two sugar candies. So if we allow any politics, then what will happen? The party politics will grow. If we allow any kind of dissension, any schism, it will grow. Therefore, please try to become united with one cause. After all, why shouldn't we be united? We are serving one master. If we are serving one master, can there be division among the servants? Who is the master? Our immediate master is, yes, Srila Prabhupada, because we are serving his mission in ISKCON. Or at least if we can't understand the greatness of Srila Prabhupada, at least we know we all are serving Krishna. And mind you, Krishna is super soul. Krishna is seen. Whatever is going on in your mind, Krishna knows. So keep your mind clean. Keep your inside clean. Heart should be devoid of envy. Heart should be devoid of pride. Heart should be devoid of arrogance and envy and hatred. Lust, greed, anger, illusion, envy and pride. These are the these are the dirt of the heart. Create a very nice atmosphere, then Krishna will be pleased. You know why Krishna let us go to the spirit, material nature? Why Krishna let us go from the spiritual world? Huh? Because we are the troublemakers there. Krishna said, we don't want any troublemaker in spiritual sky. Go to the material world. So in order to go back to the spiritual sky, we have to learn how not to be a troublemaker. Because if we remain a troublemaker, then Krishna will not allow us to go in there. So if we just develop these qualities of a proper student, of a proper devotee, then automatically we will become qualified to receive this knowledge. How does the spiritual master impart the knowledge? How many of you can answer the question? Raise your hands. How many of you know how the spiritual master imparts the knowledge? Priya brother?
Submissively, understand something, inquire from him also submissively, and then spiritual master singing the poetry, impart the knowledge.
Very good. But how does the spiritual master impart the knowledge? Yes? That is of course all true, but the direct point actually is the spiritual master imparts the knowledge in the heart. That means the knowledge by Krishna's mercy is revealed in the heart. As we become qualified, the knowledge will be revealed in the heart. Dibbo Gyan, Hriday Prakashito. So there is no other way to receive this knowledge. Not by na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Not by our intelligence and memory, not by studying and memorizing scriptures. It won't happen. That is not the way to receive this knowledge. Not by our material means, intellectual means. Dibbo Gyan Hriday Prakashita. Tene Brahma Rida. This knowledge was imparted in the heart of Brahma, Brahma Rida. So this is the way this is on. Therefore, it is like you do this and this will happen. It's something like, you press the accelerator, the car will move. You can't make the car move that fast by pushing it. So spiritual knowledge is something like that. By your own effort you can't. But you follow the process, then the result will be there. When you're driving a car, you can move things in two ways. You can make the car move in two ways. One is by pushing the car, but how fast it will go? Will you be able to make the car move? No. But what is the process of making the car move? You start the engine and press the accelerator, the car will start to move. So similarly, spiritual process is something like that. You practice the process and the result will be there. The process is, as Priyavrata mentioned, tadviddhi pranipatena pariprashnena shivaya. In a humble state of mind, you approach and practice the process. Then Dibbogyan Rita Prakashita. The transcendental knowledge will be revealed in the heart. Devotees don't have to become big scholars or anything. Devotees simply have to become simple-hearted. That's the only qualification a devotee needs. To be simple-hearted, clean-hearted. Simple-hearted means clean-hearted. Pure heart means these qualities will be there. Free from envy, faith in Krishna and his representatives, and all that. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. Any question? Yes, Radhani?
You explaining how we shouldn't criticize devotees. So I'm looking at the other side of the coin, like when you are being subjected to the criticism. How to prevent any animosity from developing, how to understand it.
Yeah, that's why there should be two things functioning at the same time. On your part, you tolerate. But those who are managing the structure, they have to be strict. They shouldn't allow that kind of things to happen. Otherwise, it won't work. Like, why should be criticized? Why should there be backbiting and criticizing and all that? Does it create a conducive atmosphere when there is this unnecessary criticism? Correction is one thing. There is a difference between correction and criticism. Criticism is unnecessarily finding faults with somebody. And correction is pointing out the mistake in somebody. But for that, one has to be in a proper position. The superiors can correct, not the inferiors will correct, not the juniors will correct. Yes, Jamuna Priya?
Thank you for your wonderful class, Maharaj. I was just thinking, Maharaj, in the verses that you were reading, it was talking about one chanting faithfully for Krishna, and then you spoke about envy. So, Maharaj, is it possible for one to have envy in their heart, but yet be able to execute devotional service by chanting faithfully? Is that possible?
Well, at a neophyte stage it may happen. But if one doesn't correct himself, then this envy is going to cause offenses. So his chanting will not be chanting. His chanting will be just the pronunciation of the syllables. It's not the holy name. He's not chanting the holy name of Krishna. He's pronouncing the words, letters, syllables. Namakhar Bahirai, Naam ko gunai. The akshar, meaning the letters or syllables of the holy name, is uttered, but that's not a name.
Then how will envy get removed?
Somebody has to take a danda and beat the envy out of And that's why you have to listen to your superiors. Because when they see that, meaning they correct you and if somebody detects that, look, these are the problem in your spiritual progress. So don't do that. Yes, Nanda Braja?
It is always stated in scripture that whenever somebody goes back to Godhead, he never comes back. So how in the first place some of the soul evolved and came to...
Yeah. So somehow or other we have fallen here. And now we go back. We'll never come back. Once bitten, Prabhupada actually said, once bitten, twice shy. Now that you have seen what this world is like, and after going through all that you have gone through here, and now that you made it back to Godhead, do you think you're going to come back? Huh? That is the meaning of Jad Gatva Nivartante. Once you go there.
Because you will always carry your remembrance, so that you know.
Yeah, you know what it is like. Okay. Any other question? Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila. Gaur Premanande.